No, not really, other than like Iowa Courts Online, looking at the schedule for the day. I mean, you would almost have to track like each individual case, like put in case, as far as I know, I guess. The clerk of court probably can provide that
I
information.
thought maybe we could get some money in the budget and have an LED sign out there flashing.
Oh, there you
Don't
go.
spoil my jury pools, no, that's what would happen. I need good jurors, so. Alright, thank you folks.
Thank you. Let's see, did I hear that you are changing the Mount Valley Fire?
Yeah, it's tabled for next week. She said that, yes.
Okay, so number 3, Mountain Valley Fire tabled till next session. And we'll call Chris.
11.
Yeah,
7511.
yeah, I was gonna say 7511, I think.
Hey, Chris, do you have time to come over and talk drainage? Thank you.
You might want to just call Scott. By the time he gets up here, we'll be done with drainage probably.
Yeah, we had him here once.
Just tell him in a bit. Morning.
Do we have lots on drainage?
No.
Hey, Scott, we're ready for you now.
Everything's
Thank
kinda
you.
froze up.
Yes, let's just knock on wood. I've had some contractors call to see if we have anything coming up, and I don't. That I'm aware of, everything's.
Well, and I've got going, but I haven't got, Brian hasn't called me back on that one up at James Anderson's.
Okay.
So I'll have to,
Who's doing that one again?
Holland.
Oh.
They're the only ones that would talk to me. Well, not the only ones, but
So,
I don't have anything.
I don't either.
who are our vendors for that then, right now? For doing,
drainage contractors?
yeah.
We've got the Yankee, Brockness, Helgeson,
Kroll, is he still?
not, no.
I don't even know if he has the equipment anymore.
Oh, all right.
Nordscott was going to get back into it.
Oh, is he? I wondered about that.
Since he's retired.
So he's good for the little jobs and
So
same
just
ones we
those-
always have.
Just those 4 then?
No, they're,
Holland.
Holland,
Got that down.
Did
Oh.
we okay, what is it, over there?
Brand.
Brant? Yeah, I wanted to say Branstead, but it's Brant,
Yeah.
yeah.
I know some people have used him, and
Yeah.
so they've already been out to places, so we just use them, but I don't call them.
They've got their insurance posted with you though, and
Yagi still doesn't have his in, so his last bill still hasn't been paid. since
Brant's the
last
one
summer.
that was gonna do
I guess-
that job and then told me at Christmas, oh, I'm not gonna have time for another year.
Yeah, some are extremely busy. The Yagi didn't want to be called before the first of the year because he was so busy. And that was last fall. So some are busy.
Yeah, he's,
it's nice when they just tell you that though, because
Yeah.
then you aren't
And I usually text
sending it
them
out.
and send a copy, I take a picture of the petition and text it to them. And if they can't get to it, they're pretty good at telling me.
I had one that went on forever. I'll get there in a week, I'll get there in a week, and I got there in a week. A year later, he still hadn't got there in a week.
Yeah, you'd rather know that they're
And then he
not
quit
gonna do
answering
it.
the phone, and I'm like, well, I guess we're gonna call someone else.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. And if the landowner calls back and say nobody's called or been here, I contact the contractor one more time and say, if you don't have time, that's fine, but we have to get on it. And they usually
Yeah,
tell
it's-
me.
And when I saw him finally, I says, just tell me you can't do it. And I'd have got someone a year ago,
Yeah.
or tried. I mean, they're all
Yeah.
busy, but,
Yeah. They're all
Okay.
been good to work with.
Do we still have a list? If you could bring them?
I do.
That would be
Yeah.
awesome.
With numbers.
It's a good idea. Okay,
I can go grab that.
Thanks.
Thank
All right,
you.
Thanks.
So, were you here for the fire discussion or
Was I here?
just for the budget?
Well, both. Yeah,
Well, the fire got, next Tuesday at 9 is when we're gonna do that,
okay,
so,
yeah,
just so you know.
kinda wanted to update, cause we're planning our spring fire season and,
Yeah,
yeah, see how things are.
and the Eatons will be here next Tuesday. So they know about it. Guessing we probably have about another half hour here for our regular discussion, so.
Okay.
Could
if
move
you
him
were
up,
available
yeah.
After that,
Yeah,
for budget, then we can
That
move
sounds-
that up a little.
sounds good.
All right. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
Kinda looks like you're
Once
doing,
you've been a
kinda looks
dictator,
like you're doing what you want, so.
once you've been a dictator, it's just hard to give up that rule. He's just over there trying to manipulate everything from the wrong side.
All right, you take over then.
Well, I know enough not to say anything.
I just don't like to waste people's time.
Some of us have made careers out of wasting people's time. All right. Scott. Ethan, whoever
Yeah, I
wants
really
to
don't
start.
have much, do you?
Avoided snow so far.
Hear anything from King One on whether they'll get to it this winter or not, or?
I haven't asked them. The last time we talked to them, was it you?
Yeah, they weren't gonna make any, they weren't gonna say any dates because they didn't want
I'll see him on Friday. I'll ask him.
I guess they made it clear that we're the fill-in job, so,
Makes us feel good.
well, that's it, you know, that's the price we got, so I think that we're willing to be that, but, and, 50-degree weather might make you feel like there ought to be something going on, but
Wow, that was quick. Thanks.
See, I think I got a list in my little folder thing.
the workman's contract, does that get kind of ratified anytime soon, or does that go through
It'll be a long time. They keep calling me and I keep telling them the same thing. It's gonna be a long time,
okay,
long time,
something like
maybe March.
March or,
That's when Mike Galloway has time to put it together. But really, nothing changed except the 2.75 and $50 added to the clothing allowance. It's the only things that changed in the contract.
okay,
And the length of the contract?
2 years. 2.75, 2.75.
so we really don't need to do anything.
Just need to relax,
This is the first time I've asked.
some deep breaths, and everybody will be okay.
Okay, well, that's what it is, that's what we'll wait for.
Okay.
I guess I could mention too that we sent out some, maybe mentioned this last time, but we sent out some letters to about a dozen Rice Lake property owners, seeking to reaffirm the 5-foot strip of easements in front of their properties. So they've all but one have received those letters, and hopefully I start to get some calls back or documents next year.
What will happen to existing driveways that are concrete or blacktop or like the last 3 feet, 4 feet, whatever?
Yeah, all the driveways will have a milled edge. There's like a milling machine that goes on the front of a skid loader that they'll take and kind of tip it at a, slight angle. And they'll mill in a groove 2 foot or wherever makes sense into the existing driveway, and the new road surface will just kind of lay right into that. So it'll,
So there's kind of a number of driveways out there that drain towards the garages and those kinds of things. So I'm sure that there's going to be some concerns about that. Some people even have a odd little
yeah.
bump built, to direct the water not into down their driveway and into their garage.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that you're aware and they'll do their best, but I thought I'd
We've
mention
looked at
it.
every one and have a plan for each one. We haven't talked to every single landowner about theirs, but a very small number of people signed up for updates, so, you know, we talk to people when we're out there and we knock on doors sometimes if we have questions. I think there's, a lot of driveways
I gotta get a
That-
hat like that.
are already have poor drainage, and we're gonna, you know, we're not gonna fix it.
Right.
We're not really able to fix it with the road problem, but I don't think we're gonna take no problem and turn it into a problem. You know, we've looked at several, and there are a few that we are going to be lowering the road surface prior to paving so that it ends up just like it is, just so that we don't make any change, but most of it, the road surface will raise by 2 inches or so. And if there's already a problem, it'll still be a problem. If there wasn't before, we won't cause one.
Okay.
If that
Yeah.
is answered.
Do-
Do you have any specific ones, or if
Well,
anybody talks to
no,
you
I
about
just-
it?
I just know just by observation.
Yeah, I can picture the one with the hump in it that kind of gets water scooting down the hill too, and we'll try and, you know.
So
mirror
there
that.
may be some people out there, I don't know, that would be willing to change what they have or something to make it better. Is that gonna be an option or not?
I mean, it certainly can be. We've probably been working with 2 or 3 about new projects, and one of them paved their driveway last fall, 2 of them, and we kind of set it up so we could match it.
Oh, good.
Uh,
Okay.
So we.
So they had to get permits for that anyway, so you were
One
aware?
did, and one, you know, that goes when you kind of catch them in it, and you're like, well, let's make sure this gets done right, and we just work together, so.
Okay,
It's fine. There are some out there that really, I don't know how you'd fix them other than putting in some sort of drain system or rebuilding a garage, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, again,
Just,
if
you
you hear
know.
from anybody out there that's concerned, you know, let us know, we'll reach out to
I'm
them.
just trying to be proactive is all, you know, than to have to deal with it when the machines are out there.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be a few that is how it'll be. It's just like, it's winter time now, right, so there's a lot of houses out there that aren't really occupied on a regular basis. It's a little bit tricky to get a hold of some of the owners too that live in Oregon or Florida or whatever. So it'll be a little bit of counting on some neighbors too to
Yeah,
try and make things
okay.
look great when we're done.
So did you figure out which way Ragbri is going so that you
Oh,
can,
that's kind of some news. Well, we know it's coming from Esterville, and then it's kind of going, what is it?
South to the
South.
Falls.
So it's different than it was 10 years ago when it came from Emmitsburg and went to Mason City. In that case, they used 842 from Cassuth County over to the feed mill in south. So this one could be different, I guess, but they tend to stay off highways, so I can see 842 being on the route, but I'm not sure where else.
At least at the end.
Yeah, but it's also kind of a long drag without any towns, so
mhm.
I'm not sure. Last time they contacted us with, you know, a proposed route and sought feedback, so hopefully that's the case still. We have, you know, our roads are in probably better shape now than they were then.
But we do have construction that, is it gonna be during that time period?
I mean,
Depends on where the route.
Mhm.
unlikely, and also wouldn't, you know, 842 is not on the list.
Right.
To have any work done.
But if they were to go to Buffalo Center and South, you have the one road that is getting work done. You could probably switch it to another road.
Yeah, I mean, that one's pretty flexible. R16 or R20 gets you to the same spot, but. Yeah. And that should be in, you know, early July at the latest.
So it kinda depends on
Pretty close.
if Buffalo Center is kinda along the route or not, or,
What is the data rag by?
22nd is
22.
Forest City overnight.
And that's June or?
July.
Or July.
So if we're doing early July project, then that's probably too close to plan on, but I guess we'll just have to see, because I would think it'd be unlikely to get as far north as Rake.
But if they're trying to find another route that they
Yeah.
haven't done before, they might.
It's a long ways to kind of go up to Rake.
It's the
and then back
scenic-
down.
It's the scenic route.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's different up there than it is down here for sure.
Hmm.
The weight of the land just changes and it's.
And where's the raging river again?
Oh, the Raging Buffalo Creek?
Yeah.
Wow, there's a north and the south branch.
We'll
yeah.
cross that no matter what.
Yeah.
They'll cross that no matter what.
Well, yeah, they might be able to, they have some tubes.
I kinda guess that they might go down to Titanca, then go Wood and Crystal Lake and back up, but I don't know.
which
I don't
would
either.
pretty much avoid Winnebago County altogether,
It would, right, depending on how they come into Forest City.
because they're gonna stay out to
If
the
they come into Forest City from the,
Heritage Park, or,
I don't know if that's been decided, because it's during the Grand National Rally.
oh, is it?
Whatever's the new name for it, Camp Winnebago, or whatever.
That's that same time?
Yeah, so,
Oh my goodness.
So the weekend before is Pucker Brush?
yep,
Oh my goodness.
so.
I
a bit
didn't
of-
I didn't put that part
bit of a
together.
zoo, and, if it all works out, it'll just run nicely together, and, with good coordination between all the events.
See, well, you're Pollyanna here or something. It's like it could be perfect.
It could be,
Okay.
I'm optimistic,
There you go.
I'm glad you are.
how about law enforcement, is
just gotta
it?
make sure I don't get involved in too many things.
You'll be cooking
Yeah.
brats somewhere and making
Right.
cupcakes somewhere else.
Right?
You probably get deputized.
Hmm.
You have anything else then?
Got anything for us, Ethan? No?
No. Yeah, I don't think.
I do have a question. And this is for, my church.
Yeah,
On 150th, Highway 9, our church has a sign to the south of the right of way of the state.
mhm.
Is that permitting through the county then? Or is there a certain distance from the right of way we have to permit through the state? If we're gonna change it.
Good question. Our off-premise signing rules for the county are in the zoning ordinance. I don't know.
It's not in the right of way, it's on his dad's land,
Yeah,
barely. Well, it's leaning towards the right of way. That's the problem. It's moving closer and closer to the right of way.
You're talking about making another one, is that it?
Well,
Or
we've
to-
got some funding to make a better one, a
Yeah.
bigger one, and on the right, but
It's the kind that has like scrolling words that go. And
that's a whole nother,
yeah. About all I can tell you is the DOT's probably got a new permits guy by now. It was Matt Frank or Mike Frank before, and he went to ITC, but that's the position that would be who to talk to. And here it'd be, Matt Dubay, zoning administrator, so I'm not sure where the overlap is between the two, but certainly nothing from our department.
well, I didn't know if there's a certain distance from the right of way
For
that,
signs, if they're outside the right of way and they don't look like a road sign, there's nothing we would ever.
on our side of it, okay. All right,
Don't make a snow trap. That's
so
about all.
don't make it a road map to heaven then.
As long as it doesn't look like a road sign. That's the main.
All right,
all right.
I'll check with them.
Well, if there's nothing else, we're gonna do open forum.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I suppose I gotta talk to the landowner.
his dad?
Who's it?
Bill.
Oh,
We started.
Yeah, boy. I usually got them things out right away at the beginning of the meeting, get them warmed up.
Well, I'm not perfect like you, Bill.
Well, you know,
So you tell me.
I'm not quite a god, but I'm a hell of a lot more than just a man.
Oh my God.
Oh, man, is that deep.
are your eyes brown?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, they are.
Up to his eyeballs.
Is your Rotary, I suppose Rotary's big involved in RAGBRAI and
I haven't been to a meeting since we
heard.
Yeah, so, like, do cities lobby for stops like that, or they just pick them on their own?
Usually the chamber make a decision to go for it, make a presentation. How many signatures are gonna be on these?
I don't know, I didn't put it together.
Well, all three of us on the first one, but I wonder if that's just the main sheet.
That might be it.
I think so. The way it looks. Sounds like we got some new ones.
Yeah. Yep, we did.
Got that one.
And we got more than 3 votes in some of the places. That's amazing.
Got 3 or 4 votes, is that what you said?
6 in this one, the way it looks.
I said more than 3, because usually it's just the 3 trustees vote.
Sometimes
Yeah.
it's 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This time we had,
Like in the 12 over there, it's like our other one was always gone to Florida or Arizona, and the other 2 of us would vote.
Have you started reading your Plumbing the Prairies book that we got?
I've gone through it, I'm not done with it, but
I'm not all the way done with it either, but it's really interesting about how the drainage was,
It's the history of Iowa drainage. They had it,
it was kind of the beginning of local government. I mean, it really was.
yeah,
where'd you get that?
Bought it at the,
IDDA
state
in Fort Dodge.
Oh,
I should
The
bring it
guy,
in.
the
and
guy
show
that
you.
wrote it was one of the speakers at the thing, and he went through the history of drainage, which was pretty
got 2
interesting.
masters
believe
and a
it or-
PhD.
Yeah.
His PhD
Yeah.
thesis was on drainage in Iowa.
what's it called?
Plumbing the Prairies.
You will not find it online.
You won't.
Nope, he only sells it at his speaking engagements, and I can bring mine in though,
And he
'cause
doesn't sell it, he has you make a donation to the Soil and Water Conservation District.
Oh,
How are you guys?
good.
Good?
not real good. You got time for a long, sad story?
I'm new to this, you know.
No.
Can I?
With me, I'll help you.
Okay, well, I'm glad you're in here too. Can I have about 5 minutes of your time?
We're in open forum, so yeah,
We're
absolutely.
pretty damn important, but go all right.
All right, well, it's nothing
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you to act on or anything like that. I just wanna make you aware of some enhancements that Carla and I have been discussing, to the Beacon webpage. I don't know who, excuse my,
It's that time of year.
I know, yeah. I don't know which ones, I believe Terry was down on ISAC. And you saw the pie of who gets the,
We've talked about that before.
okay. All right, so this is what's going on. Sarah from Schneider has contacted me. They have created, it's called the Essential Bundle. Shoot, now I forgot to grab my last printout. And what it does, what they're doing, because my office, her office, engineer's office, all these offices are coming to them, and they want this. And so what they're doing is offering a bundle that can pretty much be made for any county that wants it with add-ons. Excuse me. I gotta go grab that printout.
Let me get this to you too while we're just,
Yep, we might as well keep going. We're running out of time.
Is this in response to discussion about how it should be?
No, this is just the package.
Okay.
We discussed it yesterday.
Yeah. But this is not in response to that. Okay.
she's just telling you what she's doing, I believe.
Won't know till we hear it.
Did you come up with eminent domain people? Or are you gonna keep the ones?
Oh, was I supposed to do that?
I'm keeping Wayne because the two people I
I thought you
asked-
tabled it till next month.
No,
next week.
today. Mine is Wayne.
Yeah, I know, I got a couple people that are willing to do it, yeah.
You're gonna keep Wayne Miller.
Yep,
Okay.
but it'll probably have to be changed next year, but
So you have one then? Or you don't?
Two. One for Buffalo and one for Ray.
Okay.
are you gonna tell Carla their names?
Maybe. Everybody's
Or-
getting a little
or
snotty
like-
about it here. right?
Or are you gonna do it later?
Well, did you do it or not?
I'm about the least snippy person you know,
Child
so.
care.
I only get snippy when you're in the room, Bill.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm so sorry for this.
Gosh, you know, I got feelings
Debacle.
too, you
It's
know.
all good.
We've been together too much the last 24 hours.
Oh, way too
Yeah.
much. I've been with them more than I've been with my husband.
Josh Gray is gonna do it for Buffalo Center.
Okay, now we gotta get the sheet back out, because you were playing hard to get, okay. Josh Gray,
Yep.
okay,
And Derek Yegi is gonna do it for Rake. Everybody I know in Rake is, they're old, they're getting old.
okay.
And,
We're getting old.
I'm trying to think of who's a property owner in Rake that's relatively young.
Thank you, William.
Yeah.
So we can go ahead and vote on that?
Yes, you want that just now?
I'll make a motion to approve the eminent domain list.
I'll second it.
Motion by Derby and seconded by Jenswood to approve the appointments to the eminent domain commission. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Motion passed. Finally, huh?
Can we go back to open forum?
Yes.
All right, well, what I've given you is the example of the pie sheet, or chart that you are familiar with. There's 2 pages of that. And then, before I go on to the 3rd page there, I'd like to describe the bundle to you that they're offering. They offer several, but we aren't going, I guess, we don't feel like the most expensive, I should say, would be that beneficial. Currently, it's out of 3 budgets, and the assessor added 6 layers that we use. Scott added some layers he used. So the total cost yearly is the 19,768. This current year, there was a setup fee for our 6 things and for Scott's, which the setup fees equaled 5,000 for a yearly cost of 24,768.
This year's cost.
Mm-hmm.
The setup's just 1 year.
Right.
So,
Right. So actually, if nothing was to change right now, it'd be the 19,768 yearly. The upgrading to Beacon, it's a one-time yearly renewal of the 29,700. The setup fee, it's a one-time obviously, was 14,870. I've talked them into reducing that by 50%. So we'll take that down to 7,345. Carl, I apologize, I didn't bring one up for you.
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
I won't get the pretty color.
I'll give it to you.
I'll hook you up later.
Back talking to you.
That's all right, thank you.
So if we were to go with that bundle, basically it'd be about $10,000 more per year, which I know is a lot of money. Included in the essentials down below, anything that's in black is what we currently have. The last, towards the bottom, the assessment map layers, we would get 12 more, or we would get 12, so 6 additional included in this. If you go to the third page that shows the houses here, that's something that would be absolutely amazing for our office to help the taxpayers when they come in and question their assessments. What this does is we can pull up their parcel and it'll go out and it'll search for comparable properties that have sold so that you can say, well, are you familiar with this one and this one? And this is the sales that happened. So it kind of is a way of us saying that, you know, for us even saying, well, either we're wrong or we're right. So, same thing with people that are wanting to sell their houses. They could go out and use this to see what range that they feel.
Would realtors use this, or do they have their own programs?
Wouldn't surprise me if they use it because they use our sales all the time. On the webpage, the Winnebago County one, we are putting out a sales list out there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I know a lot of them look at it. I won't go through each and every one of these. There's going to be a chance to put on, where did I see it? Oh, the 10 forms.
You can sit in here if you'd like.
I don't know if I could or not. It's up to you.
Yeah.
Up to 10 forms. We would like to have the homestead, the military. Talked to Carla, she doesn't necessarily think she has any use for one. There's family farm. There's, Scott might want to have his driveway permits or something like that as well. In addition, I'm not familiar with what forms he uses. So that would just have to be decided on, you know, between the offices, I guess. Go to these printouts. Those are examples of the layers that we added. On the first one, it pulls up all the sales in an area. It's kind of not a really good picture because of the way it wanted to print. But it gives over to the right-hand side, you can see the 22 sales, 23 and 24. So we can
Ooh,
kind of watch what's happening within neighborhoods, towns, overall, which is an awesome visual for us because of, otherwise you spend so much time mapping everything out. The next page is the grades that we have on the house. That helps us to set up neighborhoods based on location and quality of homes within the area. And we use that all the time. The third page is classification of properties. So we can double check and say, why do we have a residential in a commercial area? Are we right or are we wrong? Vice versa, whatever the case may be. And then we also have one that tells us, which I guess I didn't print that one. It'll tell us if we're doing all the land, so that's all equitable. Because if you have a street, you want everything on the front foot, you don't want a square foot, front foot. You know, you can have tiered acres, you can do a lot of different things. So that's another way. In fact, we have Mike Weeks in our office now from Vanguard reviewing and helping us with his extra tools from the software to make sure that we're doing, you know, we got it, what we want. The fourth page is the routing numbers that we've set up. And what that does is when we're going through a whole town, we can take those routing numbers and follow that path so that we know where we've been and that we're covering each and every parcel, not missing them, and saves time because hopefully we set up our route numbers not to be zigzagging all over. There's some advertising. There'll be a bulk printing, have access to mailing labels, whether it's lineage, because I think Chris, right now we're exporting them out of Tyler, aren't we? Okay, so that would be an option for any of the offices. And there's some that each of the offices we use, but I don't think you want to know all the details on some of it. If you do, I'll certainly fill you in. But Carla and I were talking that she was checking into the price of the property tax pie. Was that going to be $2,700? Let me look here.
I have talked to her and she has not gotten back to me. So,
Okay. Well, I just heard from her last Friday, so.
okay.
But it was, I think yearly that was about there it is, 1,300, and then there's of course a one-time setup fee as well. And I believe that was about 1,000, if I remember correctly. So that would be included in this too. So I guess what I'm seeing is, like Scott and myself added these, then we're paying setup fees. We're doing, we're spending extra money yearly anyway. That if it's all included, that might come to a halt. But Carla and I were talking, we've talked to Brody, and he said that he'd be more than willing to add it to his budget if you guys allowed him. So I'm just kind of introducing you to it, and,
We talked about it in his budget
We did.
yesterday, so
oh, okay.
just a little bit.
Well, that's why I wanted to,
we didn't have all this information, but we talked about it.
So how much of this new layers would be available to me? just anybody.
I'd have to double check that, Susan, but I think we could make them accessible to anyone on the Beacon page. You know,
I'm
because,
not trying to hide anything.
no, we're not trying to hide, we're trying to make
I mean,
enhancements.
If it would be useful, a useful tool for even more of us, you know?
Right, and that's what my goal is, because even like the assessors, the ones that I went through, they're available out there now.
Mhm.
I pulled it up and showed it to Carla while I was in her office, and, the thing is so many people look at them and they aren't aware of what they're used for.
Mhm.
But if you go on to Beacon and go down towards the bottom, it's a layer that you can expand and you'll see everything and you can look at them.
Mhm.
So for the 10,000 extra and everything is always really nice. I mean, these things are neat. Is there gonna be cost savings on the backside of it somehow for your office, or when you're doing things where you don't have to go out to sites as often, or?
Well, we'll definitely, still go on site and see things. But yeah, when you can sit on one screen, see all the sales, or say the land values, and you can be in our CAMA system, and then double check, just pulling those parcels up, and then checking them and changing them to match what we need to be. You're not going back and forth to, pulling up it here, pulling it up there. So it's a huge time savings. The routing numbers are huge because when you got your, when you're on the field, you can just pull that up and, follow that. Excuse me. And then like I said, I don't know what else Scott would want to add, but if we're paying setup fees for any of these additional options, anyway,
Mhm.
I guess I'm trying to somewhat enhance it, but possibly save some money at the same time.
So the 10 forms that you talked about, like the 65 homestead and the family farm and whatever else,
Mm-hmm.
so how would they be out there, is my question. Are they on a separate page? Is it like a drop down for forms, or?
I haven't seen that part of it, Carla.
Okay,
I believe, if I remember correctly, they're submitted and they go right to the office where they need to go.
okay.
But I would have, that's something that we're gonna have a lot of questions even after.
Because if you don't, I can think of, now that we're talking about it like this, even like a voter registration form, somebody's already in Beacon and they want that, if it's a drop down for forms and it's just there,
Yeah,
that would be okay.
yeah, I don't know if it'll be a list, a drop down, I can't,
Okay.
and what I can do is I
If
can
you have
ask,
the extra, that would be one that,
So like permits and stuff too, right? I mean, we've had these discussions about permits
and those are on the regular website too, but I'm just thinking of like the most used things that we have in the county, for, I don't know.
well,
And it doesn't necessarily have to be there because it's on the
right,
Winnebago
but
County, Iowa.gov.
if someone can submit it and it comes directly to your office and we have enough,
Yeah.
We would wanna maybe keep those at the bottom,
Oh, yeah.
But,
And if you don't have it, like I said, if you got stuff for your office, that's fine, and just
The
the
taxpayer-
extra.
yeah, I know it, I'm with you, it's all to be discussed, there's no question about that. The other thing is, I know with my office, it's getting harder to get into houses and catch people at home. It's a different world than what it was 20 years ago. So we try to be as safe as we can when we're out there, and I think it's going to be leaning more that way.
Yeah, whenever
yeah.
I see you coming, I lock the doors and hunker down with loaded guns.
I know it, no one likes me.
The assessor in Adair County just quit because she had somebody throw paint at her car and
Yeah, and I think the other thing is too, is this younger generation, which I would use it too, so there, but they are kinda pushing to have this stuff available to them, you know?
They've grown up in that world.
Yeah. You know, well, why isn't there a form in there? Why do I have to come to the office? Why, you know? And I get it, you can sit at home and fill out your homestead application and send it in and be done.
Do all your work and never get out of your jammies.
That wouldn't be good for me.
No, me neither.
But like I said, I'm willing to check on anything that,
So like of all these essentials things, do you expect to use all of those? I mean,
I think,
bulk printing and mailing labels and,
I think will be a experimental when we find out how everything works. Then you'll have to think about how can I apply this to my situation, whether, you know, it's gonna be a learning curve for a lot of offices, and it's like anything we have. Some use it all the time. Some use it frequently.
so after the experiment and you determine that it's either really great, everybody's liking it, you're using it for mailings and all sorts, or you go the other way and it's just not being used. You know, what's the,
Could we switch back?
yeah.
I'm sure we could, but I can certainly ask that as well. And what, excuse me, I think the other thing that Sarah would be happy to do is provide me with certain counties that have this set up already.
Oh.
And so that maybe we could dial in and kind of play with theirs to get a feel for it.
Yeah, you could call them, ask them how they're using it, what's the best parts about it.
But if it's out on Beacon, I think we could just log into their Beacon webpage
Oh, yeah.
and play with it ourselves, you know? Because that's what, on the house comparable, I'm in Georgia, looking at those.
Yeah, yep.
So that's the one she gave me for that.
We're kind of stacked up today, so.
Well, I will,
That was more than 5 minutes, I'll
Yeah,
have you
you
know.
got your 5 minutes worth.
hey, I got Wendy. Thank you very much.
If it wasn't for Bill, we'd have all day.
Thanks.
Yeah, Oh,
I'll
you guys,
make you some copies. Thank you.
I love Beacon. Sometimes if I'm bored, I just go look.
just surf around there
I
a little
do.
bit.
I'll make a motion to approve the county claims.
I'll second it.
Motion by Derby and seconded by Jensel to approve the county claims. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Canvas 2025 Drainage Trustee Election.
So is one of the votes themselves usually, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Only 2 votes for Artie Grunnell.
That's the way my district was last year.
Yeah.
You got snowbirds that aren't around. And
Yeah.
Should we buzz to 13? Consider for approval resolution to approve the salaries for elected officials.
we're ready to discuss that.
So I'm, more inclined to have them all be 3%.
I did. Put
That's
the
the
bottom.
lower one.
Oh, you changed it down, oh, look at that, there it is.
The top is what's approved by the comp board. The
Yeah,
bottom
yeah,
is
no,
what's
I-
approved by the board.
Yeah, yeah. I hadn't got down to the bottom part
That's
yet.
the draft.
Consider for approval, a resolution to approve the salaries for elected officials.
I'll make the motion to approve the resolution to approve salaries for elected officials.
I'll second it.
Motion by Jensvold, seconded by Derby to approve the resolution to approve salaries for elected officials. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
I'll make a motion, a motion to approve the county claims.
We already did that.
We did that?
Yeah.
Ooh, I didn't check it out.
We didn't do payroll yet.
Yeah.
We're gonna do the trustee election.
We did. Just now, or a little.
Yeah,
bit
we
ago.
did that just a second ago.
Well, then I.
Bill made the motion, I second it.
Sorry. I missed that one. For the drainage you did?
Yeah.
Am I losing my mind? Did you hear that?
She's like,
It was right after,
No, he was looking at it,
Oh,
and, but I don't remember who made
it was out of order with the claims.
Right.
Okay.
we jumped around, sorry.
Yeah, because you went to county claims, then you went to the
Our papers
trustee.
got stacked up different.
Yes, I am sorry, I missed that.
Just
I
trying
better
to,
know.
trying to move
Alright.
through it so we can
Did
get
you try and pull yourself together?
to our final
No, I-
budget.
We done pull him together.
So,
Alright. We can do the payroll claims later,
okay,
if you wanna do budget meetings
let's
now.
do that.
Who do you wanna do first? The public health or the conservation? Since well,
I don't wanna do either one. Does that matter?
conservation's 22 and nurses are 23.
I'm just kidding. I'm so excited to do more budgets, guys. Who needs to leave earlier? Anybody care who goes first? Okay,
You can go first.
conservation. Help me out with the conservation numbers.
Conservation's 22.
Thank you.
You know how electors are my favorite.
There's a few worse things, but it's kind of at the top of the list.
That and drainage.
I love
Oh,
drainage.
drainage.
I actually do.
I like drainage because it all goes downhill.
Okay. We're talking conservation. Anything you'd like to tell us up front that's challenges or interesting, or we're just gonna go through it?
We can, I guess there's, under our environmental education, you know, there's, you know, I allocated funds to be spent out of that. That's obviously assuming that we get some grants and donations to cover that. I have been meeting last Tuesday for the second time with our exhibit designer. So she's gonna put together a proposal for us to get some really finish off the new nature center in a nice professional exhibits, but we're trying to do that as budget conscious as we can. So we're gonna do some of the work ourselves. Once we get this master plan put together, then we're gonna have kind of a dollar amount that we can go after grants and donations. Couple other things, I don't have anything, I didn't put anything in the budget about this, but we are looking at the old conservation office out at Thorpe, the old ranger house. converting that into a cabin that's rentable, either a cabin that's rentable to the public or possibly a residence that we could lease out, something to bring some revenue in. We are, as a department and as a board, we are looking at ways that we can bring some more revenue in that way. We're looking now, RAGBRAI's coming through, we're gonna see what we can do there. And then we're looking to get something going for Pucker Brush and the Wit Rally. We had a number of people stop out last year and kind of request some programs, so that's something that's, it's on our mind. We want to be as self-sufficient as possible. It's not our overarching goal is, generating revenue as a department, but every bit helps. So that is something I'm going to look at the old Ranger house today after this and get a list kind of what it's going to need to get in. I know it's going to need some paint, some flooring. There was an old wood pellet stove in there that's been removed. There needs some attention there. So I'm just rough estimate off the top of my head. I think we're looking at $15,000-ish to get that to where it's rentable, but revenue generated off of that should be, I'm guessing on a low end, annual revenue should be about $10,000, so it would pay for itself pretty quickly.
Yeah. Is there one or two out there now, cabins?
There's one cabin out there.
Just one, yeah.
And it's
And
rented
I was gonna say, it's pretty well booked up, isn't it, during the
Yeah.
summer?
just about every weekend that we're open, and then we'll
Mhm.
have some weekday rentals as well. It's not every single day, but it's
How was the size on that one compared to the old office?
It's a lot smaller. That one is basically one big room that there's a kitchen, a table, a couch, and then a set of bunk beds. And then there's a one separate room for the bathroom. There's a shower facility there. The office, we're thinking that we probably, at least to start, open up the attic or the upstairs space. There's 3 bedrooms on the main floor, along with the kitchen area. There's no appliances in there right now. And I need to look the bathroom. Nobody's used the shower in there since Robert moved out of there a couple decades ago. So there'll be a new shower and need some updates to the bathroom. The flooring, there's carpet in there. I don't know if it's pretty dingy. I don't know if it's salvageable. But also being a cabin and people doing outdoor activities, I prefer to have some sort of vinyl plank or hard floor in there. Would just be
It's a lot easier to maintain.
So I haven't measured anything. Just walking through, I'm guessing the main floor is 900 to 1,000 square foot, somewhere in there. So we start talking to flooring and paint and some appliances and a little bit of bathroom. It adds up pretty quick. There's some of that, we would be able to do some of that work ourselves and not have to contract out everything. So that's something,
You have money in this budget for that?
I don't have money in that, in it. It's something we just kind of started, it was a back burner thing, and then,
Now, when we first started talking about the new building out here, that was one of the things that was brought up, is that it could be put onto the revenue list. Because it was gonna have to be remodeled anyway to keep you guys in there.
Yep.
And,
So, like I said, that was something our last board meeting kind of got brought to the forefront, and we're wanting to get going on that, but I didn't put anything in because I don't. I'm going to contact a local inspector or contractor and maybe have him take a look and see if he agrees on price estimates, and because right now it's just kind of really rough guess on that. But guessing, or comparing what I've seen other counties and their cabins, a 3-bedroom cabin on similar properties, I think we'd probably be somewhere $110 to $120 a night rental fee for running it out as a cabin. I don't know. The kind of the idea of leasing it to as a private residence. There are counties that do that. You know, it's consistent revenue, but that runs its own, I mean, there's risks either way.
Yeah, you sometimes don't always get people that take care of things the greatest.
Yep, so. yeah,
And
more-
if it's a cabin type thing, there's more taxpayers that can take advantage of it
Sure.
from time to time. So more, a broader scope of people would get to.
Well, and you have that in place. I mean, we've rented that cabin before. I mean, you have that figured out.
The
How to do
existing
it.
cabin,
Yeah, I mean, you
Yep.
know how that works and
Sure.
you've got it,
We've got a
a
reservation
plan.
system, and I would love if we had a little more streamlined. Right now, our website doesn't allow for, you know, to where we can have people just pay for the reservation. They've got to send us a form, you know, they can email it with their credit card.
Oh,
But we have to manually update the calendar to show when it's available and when it's not. You know, for one cabin, it's doable, it's just custom.
mhm.
We're always looking for somewhere, you know, a way to streamline things. Same with our shooting range permits, that's kind of pain, but.
Airbnb, VRBO, both of them.
Well, that'd be something to possibly look at.
It's a lot more streamlined and they
Yeah.
cover the insurance
You
and,
could
Yeah.
do like, like the stadiums for professional sports and stuff like that, and have the cabin have somebody's, business name on it or whatever, and
There you go.
maybe they could, donate the, like, whatever construction company you get, maybe they would donate it if they get an advertisement.
We're looking at that with some of the exhibits possibly when we go start asking for donations. This will be the Winnebago Prairie exhibit. Or everyone likes to see their name on stuff and advertising on the fundraising. Another thing we're doing, or I'm looking into, I should say we're doing, I'm waiting to hear back from, is I found this company out of Wisconsin that has self-service kayak and stand-up paddleboard kiosks. And as I understand it so far, they provide the kayaks, they provide the infrastructure, you know, the website, anything they provide the insurance for it, the safety equipment, and all we do is essentially provide them a location to set that, so we could do that out at Lake Catherine. People come, they scan a QR code, takes them to their website, and they rent it hourly or daily, and then we get a certain percentage of the sales for just allowing them to have it. So it's
it's a
It's an
service.
amenity for us to add, and it might not be a lot of money that it brings in, but it's not also no risk to us. So if somebody goes and you know sinks their kayak to the bottom of the lake, it's on. You know, we're not responsible for any of that or the insurance. So again, hopefully that's something that pans out, but we'll see. Just get back to the cabin thing. That's something you guys would like to see go forward as soon as possible. We could look at putting some, some money in there at least to get it started and see where it comes out.
I'm thinking Derby Construction would probably want their name on there. They probably do it for free.
Do it for free. Material to inlay.
Mhm.
I'm certainly glad you're going out there and looking for things like that.
Yeah, yeah. Next, you'll want me to help you.
So you dropped a few things in your budget.
Yeah, some of it moved around. I dropped some and increased some others. I went off of last year's end of year report and the year before, and then I looked at our budget where we are now, halfway through this year. And there's some areas that we were over on, consistently over on. So move some of those to line items that were either really tight or over on. There were a couple when I went back through materials and supplies. I think that was a line item that was stagnant for a number of years, and it's not keeping up with inflation. So modest increases in just a couple line items.
What would be the new equipment then?
So we've got, right now, this year, or next budget year will be our last payment on our skid loader, and that's $30,000. And we do have our tractor, our big tractor that we lease, which comes out to about $10,000 every year. The new additional stuff would be for the skid loader, a grapple for the skid loader for moving logs and brush.
Mhm.
Also a snow pusher for the skid loader. And then a disc, our old disc for disc and fire brakes is in constant. It's,
State of disrepair.
yeah, it is. It's ready. So those are the kind of the three. They're not big things. Because we're still paying on, we've got another year on the skid loader. All of our trucks are getting older and they're gonna be due to start getting swapped out. I think my truck is the newest, it's a 2011, so it's, 14 years old. But until we get the skid loader paid off, we can maybe next year start looking at swapping a vehicle every year, every other year.
So it's $30,000 for the last payment on the loader?
Skid loader, yep.
How much is the grapple?
I have there's some cheaper ones. I'd want to talk to Rick and see what you need. For the John Deere, the matching John Deere grapple, it was about $5,700. And I don't know whether, I'm hoping that there might be some government discounts on attachments as well. Usually they cut some breaks for equipment.
Yeah, I was gonna guess somewhere between 4,000 and 6,000 for one.
Yep. Yeah, it's about 4 is kind of the lower end of, depending on what size and what grade you get.
Mhm. They're nice.
They're amazing. It's like
Yeah.
a deal breaker. If you've got something that you can put one on, put it on it.
Yeah. It's,
Saves a lot of manpower.
when I was in Hardin County, we had the dredge come through, and having the grapple bucket on the skid loader was just,
Yeah, for moving brush and stuff like that, you can move so much more in one trip that,
when you can pick up a whole tree and drag it where you need instead of cutting it up in 6 to 8 foot chunks.
yeah.
Well, I'm thinking it's just me that the sooner that you get the old offices out there making money, the better.
Sure, absolutely. I've already had an inquiry. The Ford family was having a family reunion this summer and was looking, they wanted to know whether it was going to be available for rent. And then
So that sounds like it needs to be done in this budget year.
that would be a good
Oh,
thing.
What
kind of
month-
too
what
bad
month
you
were they
didn't-
gonna do it?
What's that?
What month did you say they wanted to do it?
I'd have to check. It was in July.
I was gonna say, if it's July or August, you might stand a fair chance of
We might, yeah,
getting it done.
I would say if we had, the money ready, lined up and ready to go, we could have the contractors lined up to start, July 1 or depending on what the agreement
Mhm.
you can make, whether or not they're willing to start in June if they didn't bill till July.
Not that I want any money added to the budget, but that's also one that's gonna bring in revenue, so.
Well, in hindsight, it's too bad that it wasn't planned immediately as you got out.
Yeah.
Because then it would be operational right now. But that's kind of hindsight.
Yeah, that would have been on the previous year's, this year's budget.
And this budget is pretty tight for this year, that we can't move things around enough to accommodate that.
as far as within my budget, it would be pretty, I mean, there's some stuff we could, you know, things like painting, you know, we can probably have room for stuff like that. Flooring,
I did make some changes to your budget because once the environmental education center was done, we don't use those
oh,
certificates anymore.
okay,
So let me,
Would that go under conservation special projects fund?
It seems to
That
me,
would be where it would be entered. I mean, he lowered that considerable.
Your special projects fund is that through revenues from something else then?
yeah, through
Where
donations,
is that?
through grants.
This whole
Oh,
section
oh,
right here,
So
he went from 39.9 to 18.
special projects fund right now, we do have a little over 38,000 in the special projects fund.
There isn't any way to use any of that money for it?
It's possible, I could bring that to my board and,
I mean, it'll come back in as revenue at some point.
sure,
it actually just makes more sense for me to get that up and going than to be doing any additional.
It's almost
Yeah.
like putting it in a money market. You probably could get more out of that money
Sure.
than at that point.
I guess the one concern, you know, and it's an improvement, it's an asset to us as a department, you know, that take money from our, you know, other special projects, and then since the revenue goes back to general fund, that
So the
it's somewhat limiting, you know, what other projects we could use that money for, but
So the cabin rentals comes back to where?
it goes to the general fund, the campground fees all go to the general fund. So, and I guess that's, if that was, where revenue would stay in the department, we could continue to use it for other things, you know, and yeah, that would be.
Is that a possibility, Carla? If they take money out of the special funds, can they get revenue back into special funds for the rentals? Special project fund,
I don't,
at least like for a 2-year period to repay
At
it.
least until it's paid off, yeah.
We do, I mean, some of the other, like our permit fees for the shooting range go back into,
The shooting range or whatever.
yeah, they go back to where they're usable for
That could-
upkeep
I
and
guess
maintenance.
I would wanna talk to Elizabeth before making,
Can we do it as a transfer as it comes in every so often?
I don't know that that's where you want, I gotta talk to Elizabeth, I don't know that answer. But I will find out.
Yeah, if that's the case and we, you know, that money's there already, we could start, you know,
Upon availability of somebody to do it.
yeah, as soon as we can get a, you know, solid plan of together what's needed and.
You wanna check on that to start with, then we know what can't be done and what can be done.
You know, and even if the revenue stayed there, I mean, it'd just be, you know, they would need less revenue from where they're getting it from. So that's whatever.
I mean, I know there's other counties that, you know, their revenue from their campgrounds and cabins stay in the department, so I would think as far, even if it was you know, we keep the revenue for 2 years, or, you know, like you said, if that's how you want to do that, I think that would be doable, but yeah.
I wanna
that's-
check
I'm
with
not
the
gonna-
external auditor before we make those decisions.
Sure.
Yeah, it's too bad we didn't start ramping that up as the thing was being built.
Until you clear out of it, you don't know though.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of work to be done, there's still, they moved the stuff to the new office that they needed, and there's
still stuff there.
There's a lot of stuff there, it'll be bring a dumpster out or possibly some of, I don't know, I gotta look through the documents and see if there's much there that's, personnel records or sensitive stuff that would need shredded, but
I guess I would almost prioritize that more than additional improvements in the new nature center, personally.
And nothing that no money that I put in for this budget, from the county, from the general fund or anything, was going towards any exhibits. We're gonna do all we can to, raise funds for those through grants and donations.
Good, yeah.
Do your REAP fund special reserve, what was that equipment for then?
That is, that's generally not a
There's 12,000 in it. So far this year, you've spent 10,687.
We spent some this year out of that. Those REAP dollars, our Ranger that we've had was lost compression and overheating and wasn't safe to use for fire this spring. It only runs for about 20 minutes before it overheats and you have to shut it off. So we did replace that when we first ordered that and purchased that. When I'd started and gone through budget and stuff, I was not aware that, I was told that we own the skid loader. I wasn't aware that we were still making payments, so we had a $30,000, budget in the new equipment and under the general fund, and so we had, long story short, we had to take some money out of our special funds to cover that. The one other piece of equipment that we are looking at and is for a new slip-in fire unit for the Ranger. It's about $5,000 to $6,000. Talked to Todd Lewis, yes, about, he thought around 5,000, depending on options, he could build one for us. Because the one we have now is, the pump on it is not really meant, it's more of a chemical sprayer. It's not even, it's barely a garden hose. But I have talked to Pheasants Forever in Hardin County. Our Pheasants Forever chapter covered the cost of the new spray unit for us, and it sounded like they're open to that. I'm waiting to get kind of final numbers from Todd before I helped out at their banquet this fall, and they said, if you show up to the banquet and get to know people, people get to know you, it might be more open to helping you out on something like that. And it's fire is the best tool we have for maintaining our grasslands. It's the most cost effective.
Except for the peak ground.
Except for the peak ground, yes. That's, yeah, we're obviously very gun shy on any burns in or around that. So, yeah, it's good for the habitat. It creates more robust stands of grass, better cover for the pheasants. So that's how we can sell it.
Helps control noxious weeds.
Weeds, keeps the woody encroachment out. It does a lot of benefit there.
You don't burn for private people, do you?
We don't, no. I think there might be a couple places where there was an adjacent chunk, like a small chunk of CRP adjacent to ours, where it was just easier to work with the landowner and do it all as one unit as opposed to trying to put in a fire break and waste a bunch of time. It was more efficient for us to do it that way.
What did you ever find out from the DNR on your funding that,
Yes, the REAP, the per capita, we got that check. What happened was they misread the REAP report, and instead of being 80 cents, they read it as 8 cents. And
what's the difference?
they got it taken care of, and we just received that check. I turned it in.
Oh,
We don't
good.
have to wait.
So there's other people in the world that can transpose things. Yes.
I just
We're
got a
feeling
text-
better all the time.
Yeah,
I just got a text message from somebody I work with from that same gal was questioning something on our end. It was quite a piece of work.
yeah. It's like that. Yeah. They had some issues this year. That office.
Well, I didn't have any more questions on it, I guess.
No, it's just the main thing is to probably get going on that cabin somehow, maybe at least next year.
Yeah.
But,
If we find out, if we can refill the funds that we have, existing funds, then we can get started as soon as possible. Especially, which would be nice, I mean, it's only one day, but rag ride coming through. Our other cabin was rented by 11 o'clock Saturday night after they announced the stops. That's something else we're looking at is possibly seeing what other areas out there, at least for a one night, if we can get some more fire rings and add as many tent spots as we can and take advantage of the audience when we've got it.
mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other questions?
I don't think so.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
You bet.
Did you want to look at the roadside management budget at all?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, we do.
Page 28.
28. 11, Department 28.
Have you made any headway on this one? I saw we had a quote from somebody
Yep,
on contract.
I still haven't gotten the other gentleman that showed interest there was, he was one, the other document that I sent with that showed the Hancock County bids from 22, I believe, was one that bid on their roadside and was considerably higher than the other two bids that they had. He did sound very proficient, and he does all the bridges and guardrails, does all the spraying for that. He sounds pretty thorough on his weed spraying, he does spray parsnip. So that might be part of why his costs are, we're higher, but the brush side, the 10,000 for brush, I think is very reasonable. That's what he charged us. So we contracted with that guy for this last fall for brush, and he did basically the entire Mount Valley Township and all the county paved roads. And that was by far our densest brush problem in the township. So he feels like once that's on top of it, that he could do, a third of the county each year.
And you said that was just a guy by himself, right? A single person?
Right now, yeah, he's just getting his business off the ground. From Chicago, he was,
So who supervised it or inspected it? Did you?
yeah,
out
we
and
went
look?
out, and his communication was outstanding. He called nearly daily if he ever had an issue or was unsure of a certain area on what to do, whether to spray or cut, or he was in constant contact. I was impressed with him for a younger guy that he was a go-getter, and he also had, I was talking earlier to Ethan had contracted with him to do some spraying, and he said the same thing about him. He was if it was too windy to spray on a day, you'd call them up and say, you know, I was gonna spray, you know, let them, just keep letting them know what was going on.
So he has something he can spray parsnip with?
Yeah. I mean,
Robert always said that there was just wasn't much of a way to
Well-
control it.
It's a timing thing.
It's a timing thing, whether you mow it, spray it, burning, it's a difficult plant in that aspect because one, it's biennial, so you get a seed rain and then it grows vegetatively and it can be hard to see the first year. The second year it sends up, you know, flowers and gets tall. But they don't, if you mow it too soon or spray too soon, it can, more of mowing, I guess, but it can reflower.
It can flower really short
Yeah,
too.
there's, in July is kind of the big flush, but then there's always some, I mean, you can go out there at the end of August and see some parsnip that's still flowering that, you know, wasn't around, so. That's part of the issue with controlling it. The best, most effective way is go out there with a spade and dig the taproot, and but that's obviously not feasible for.
That 38,000 bid, did that include the chemical?
It did not include the
That's what I was
chemical.
gonna say, I thought I remembered reading that, but,
Yep.
Cause
Yeah.
you've got that as another 17.
yeah, I was just looking at that here, so that, so then we're up to 45,000.
Yep.
Which there would be a decrease in, or that would come off of the salaries.
So last year you paid it out of your salaries and the contract?
We paid it out of the chemical. We had enough leftover chemical that had already, you know, we're kind of caught up. And,
So the 10,767 was just his labor then?
yes, yep.
Right. So this year, if you contracted out like that, where would it come out of?
I think we're, you know, we're probably a little bit high. I think some of it could still come out of the
Chemical.
chemical line item. That's really all I have. So right now, I mean, this was kind of just ongoing discussions between conservation and engineering and roadsides, and it was kind of a fact-finding mission of see what it would take, so I didn't plug in.
You want to just address this one later then, a little more?
We can, if it's something, you know, I know, you know, revenue's tighter, and I don't know where, you know, if money would be available. Price-wise, I think that the bid that he got compared to, you know, what other counties are spending, I think that's, the bid we have is, I think, is a good bid, and it's,
Can we talk about this next Tuesday?
sure.
We'll put it on the agenda to
I
go
know
over
whose
this
that
one.
is.
And I can see if I can, I'll try reaching out to the other guy and see if I can't at least get
Yeah.
a second bid.
I mean, in this budget, it's also 12,500 for new equipment, and if we're farming it out, we aren't gonna
Yeah,
need that.
yeah, we could take some of that.
Yeah, I would say a portion of that, yeah. Okay.
All right.
We
We
have
could
to,
probably drop, you know, a little bit on our fuels budget too, you know, we wouldn't be driving.
Well, we'll just talk again in a week.
yeah, thank you.
Hey,
What's Julie's number?
23.
Thanks.
Have a good day.
You do, thank you.
Julie, you're up.
This is the hot seat.
Yeah. Nurses? We'll start with nurses. Do you have was there anything updated? Do you have what we're looking at, do you think?
I think I do have what you're looking at.
Okay.
I just have to get the right. And I do have an update for Chris's, so don't let me forget that one.
Okay, so under nurses, anything,
I did on line, so with my page 39, I don't know what page it is on yours.
Probably.
But it's the software maintenance agreement.
yep,
In that one, that I did increase that because I forgot to, last year, we were in the middle of the year, and I didn't put Vaxcare in there, and I have a monthly for that. And then my matrix went up, so I added that in there, so that's why that increased.
okay,
I dropped down the office supplies, but I also put in, I met with Leland Woodworks. Paul, is that his furniture stores?
It's like IKEA.
Yeah, I'm afraid that you're gonna have to end up buying again in 5 years, you know? So, I asked him, we don't want anything hanging on the walls, so the girls would just like a small, kind of like that covered over there to put some stuff in. And, just a small built-in like we had at the other building, and he thought he could do that for no more than 3 apiece. So and there's 6 of us there. So, and then that way the girls can have how they want. Allison's office is a little goofy shaped, so you could make it so that it would be more feasible for someone when they come in there. So, and I do have swatches of the laminate, the top, and he said he could pretty much match that, so it would match up to Michelle's and with
and what did
A's
you,
have.
where did you add that in?
I added that in the general office supplies. So it was 60,000 last year, and I just dropped it to 30.
Oh, I see it,
Yeah. So my budget is smaller. I pretty much kept everything the same. And the reason my budget is smaller is, the nurse we hired to replace Randy was at a smaller rate, and her health insurance, that they didn't have family insurance.
Just
so
a single.
a single, and then the same with the aide that, replaced Willie. So, and even with Willie coming back, there is a line item that, went up, and that is on page 40. It would be the salaries, extra help, part-time.
15.6 to 34.6.
Yeah, that has Willie in there. Cause she's part-time PRN, and she fills in like when the girls are on vacation and stuff like that. So I roughly gave her, I can tell you how many hours I gave her.
you left some overtime in there, Julie?
Yeah, I did that just in case, even though we still use comp because of the holidays. Let's see, where did how many hours did I gave Lily? 1,000 hours. So not quite half.
Mm-hmm.
And I still have, in the full-time, I still have like a replacement aide in case we get busy again. And then I did in the nurses, the same thing, I put a replacement nurse in there. But with our census, are running about 70, pretty steady, about 70 the last 6 months.
Mm-hmm. 69 to
69 to 70
73
to
and
73, yeah, so about an average of 70. And one of our goals is that we track when we get a referral why they don't want to
be on our services when we get the referral is they just don't wanna be homebound again. They've already spent a week or two in the hospital or in the nursing home, and if they go on Medicare, they don't wanna be homebound, so, they refuse our services. So we try and talk them into coming on private pay, and they don't wanna do that either.
Hmm. And private pay is on a sliding scale.
Mhm. And that will be on the agenda probably the next 2 times again. Cause I just got our cost report back.
Hmm. Anything else you want to point out to us?
Not for the nurses, no.
So I'm trying to figure out,
7 is the same as your, sorry.
well, I'm still on,
Okay.
I was looking at revenues.
Okay.
And comparing it to the budget.
I did drop VA down, and that's because we had, reimbursement with the VA was significantly dropping for our reimbursement when we got and see a veteran from the federal government, from the insurance company. They dropped it significantly. And it's not just us, it's across the nation. And,
So is that supposed to be 30,000, not, or what is it supposed to be?
for the veterans, I have 60. It was 65, I dropped it down 5.
VA veterans here, we got 65, and then we have
Private
300.
Gotten off the line, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
What's
I think
private
that was
insurance
a-
supposed to be?
that's anything like Blue Cross Blue Shield.
But I mean, your numbers, let's start at the top, what are your numbers,
Okay, so I asked for 300 from,
general,
general, 20,
under what?
nursing services, I'm going straight down.
Okay, all right, well, that you skipped a line though, I just wanna make sure.
Oh, yeah, nursing services 20, and 120 for Medicare. Medicaid is 250. Private insurance is a 10.
Okay, so we skipped
Oh,
Magellan.
see, I have an extra
Yep.
line in there, I have Magellan in there.
Oh, yeah, no, Magellan needs to be out. That,
Okay.
there's,
Okay, so that should
that
be
has
0.
not been in there for.
So then the
Since
10 and the
it's
60 need to go down one,
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay, that helps.
Yeah. and the 300,
that's a LT insurance assessments.
okay,
Okay, so that moves down.
that moves down.
Immunization is 4.
Yeah, and then so that's gotta go, so from there on down is one line off.
20,
We just
yep.
got off a row.
Then how about your next line?
My next line, was miscellaneous reimbursement with the 0. That's 847000. That's a 0. And then my next line is the refund, and that's 1,000.
Okay, so we're back in.
Yeah, we're there.
Okay.
Yep.
So anyway,
Stuff
back to the VA. So, we pay dues to the Iowa Health Association, and, they are looking into, they had approached then the VA because of the fee for services, why our reimbursement, like for a nurse, I charge 186. Well, now because that's what it cost us, and that's what, it's on my sliding scale fee. So, but they're not reimbursing me the 186 anymore. They're reimbursing me like 125 or 90, just depending. So, and that's across the nation everywhere. So they were asking, they all got together and approached the veterans, and because a lot of us are saying, we won't be able to take care of these, we won't be able to go out and help these people. And I'm talking PTs, OTs, speech, the whole 9 yards. And so now they're looking at it, and they're going to reevaluate the fee and either keep it the same or increase. So we'll see what happens. So, and that was the last I heard. So that number may end up staying the same, or I don't know. So that's why I just dropped it, just because I don't know what the future's gonna hold with that. And they are very behind on reimbursement. I think I just finally got paid for October.
So I'm looking at bottom line, 974, 595.
And what is it, on what?
On the revenues.
Revenue.
And then when I look at the expenditures, we're short.
Yep.
So we're just hoping we don't need all that transfer then?
Maybe, yeah.
It's quite a bit.
Carla, that next page, and this is not hers, but the social services revenue. Did we, this year, are we getting reimbursement from DHS or something, or? Because we've gotten 5648, what was that for?
I'll have to look into that and get back to you. It might be because we moved DHS down there, we're not gonna get as much.
It was by the square foot?
Yep.
Okay. So we can probably put a number in there, but just not as big.
Yeah, I mean,
All right, we'll look into it.
the other thing that it goes by is like how much, like, when we do general work in the courthouse, part of that goes to that, and if they're down there, there's not any of that work either, so they're not gonna get that.
Well, we did work down there, just not on that exact office.
Right, but she wasn't moved down until that was done, so that's already done.
All right.
Mm.
Okay, so now we're on which budget?
27,
47?
27.
27.
That is the sanitarium. And we do, we share him with Hancock County, which, I'm sorry, is the greatest thing I guys have done. Chris has just been very, very good. So they, do his budget down there, and I talked to Chelsea, and they passed 5% for him, so our 40% is what is on that, it's on page 44, it's the sanitary services, 34,781, and, was it Michelle down there just gave me his health insurance, and it, is 4720, so we could drop that, his sanitary services down, cause that's all added into that. Cause I think I added 5,000 instead, so I was
you
kinda close.
Take the 5 off.
No, you would have to only take, 3. So it would be 381.
I'm not seeing the line we're talking about.
Page
Second
44. Second from
Is
the
it
bottom.
34,000 number?
Yeah, so
Oh,
instead of
it's
30,
just under services.
Yeah, yeah.
instead of 34,781, it should be 34,381.
You're taking off 300, you said, or
Mhm.
400? So that'd be 481 then, wouldn't it?
Yeah, 481, sorry, 481.
Okay. Anything else?
Did you need to know, he's currently at 2911, and so 5% of that, he would have been put back up to 29. $29.11. So his total salary is 63,585, and I just did 40% of that. And then I added all the FICA and IFRS on to that 34.
Okay. Well, I don't have any more questions.
I don't either.
Mm-mm.
We already looked at it once, didn't we, Julie?
Yep.
Okay,
And that's Kim's. Thanks, guys.
thank you.
You. Next,
The 37.
37 and 70.
You want a copy?
Sure.
We got blanks.
mm-hmm,
Well, we just had the union negotiations on Friday, so. Better numbers.
Thank you.
So as I was sitting out there, I noticed that I have my part-time salary, the second line and the third line, overtime pay switched around. But 2.75 was what was negotiated for rate, increases.
So the 11,642 should be under,
Part-time, yeah,
Okay.
and the 26,285 should be under overtime.
All right, so this is the correct one, or
yeah, right here,
what
these,
you gave us is the correct one?
So,
yeah, these two need to be changed around, she's got
Yeah.
them wrong on there.
and there's no transfer to IT this year?
there is, did I not put it on here?
No.
Okay. I need to add that. Well, we have our meeting this afternoon.
Do you want to just call me after you're done?
Yeah.
Or email me, either way,
I won't be done.
that's all right.
And I think some of the other like the IT services is probably going to change. That is what we're currently doing. It includes, information security that we're doing right now, and that's 7,800 a year, and we're probably gonna drop that. Did you talk about IT services?
So we currently pay almost, well, the budget pays about $50,000 a year to NGT. Obviously, NGT has been servicing us for a long time. But, you know, everybody in this room is very aware of the 718 file coming down the pipe. So we're talking about how are we going to start shrinking our budget. Obviously, you know, payroll expenses are always something that are going to be looked at. Well, that's something that we need to consider. I had a conversation with Brody Hobb that if at some point, if we want to continue to shrink the amount of money that we're spending out of this budget, that maybe we could utilize his services. Now, the sheriff's office very easily could, because they're part of the county, if you will. It's not that the commission is not part of the county, I mean, everything's run through the county, but we're a 2080 entity. So we would be able, if there would have to be any type of salary increase or anything like that, we could fund that out of the line item that we currently use for NGT.
So is the IT services, is that all their labor then? There's no
Yeah.
parts or?
That's just what they get on an annual basis. You know, and again, it's nothing obviously against NGT, you know, but the times that we're looking at moving forward over the next few years, obviously we want to start looking at our budget and find what areas that we can start shrinking.
Of that 40 to 50,000, how much less do you think you can get it done with Brody doing it?
I don't know, and that would be, because he's the county employee, he would be managing the servers for the entire public safety network. I don't know, that would ultimately be a conversation between you as the board, you know, as his, you know, he's your employee. We're not gonna say, well, we could just, you know, have him do it. I don't know if,
Now, is it doable, I guess, you know, is it
well,
gonna-
he said he'd be willing to look at it.
Yeah, we talked to him briefly about it yesterday.
Yeah, we had, in Hancock County, we had NGT for about the same amount of time down there. We separated from them and hired our own IT director. That is managing public health, all the courthouse, all the public safety side. And it's, I mean,
But they don't have a jail anymore, so theirs on that side is a little less, I suppose.
not much. I mean,
Not much.
yeah, just because it's mostly, it's server man. The workstations, I don't think, and Brody might have a different opinion, but it seems that the workstations, little things like that, they can kind of come in very quickly because they know better than us and fix the little issues with workstations. The server work and all the management side probably takes more time. Our IT director down there, I said, you know, would you be willing to help? Because we have some Winnebago County infrastructure in Garner, and there's Hancock County infrastructure here in Winnebago County for backups.
Mm-hmm.
So they would have to work close together anyway. But then again, I'm not saying that's the direction we should go, but, you know, we wanted to talk to you guys about that's a potential to save some money now. Just kind of reiterate how we fund this budget is the county pays 50% of the expenditures, and the cities are billed quarterly, I believe, Carla. Is that right?
I think so.
Okay, so the cities, based on per capita, they pay the remaining 50%.
Yeah.
And Fort City has about 50% of the remaining, and
A little over 50.
Lake Nels has about 25% of the remaining.
Right. And again, we're pretty sure, and again, ultimately it's up to the commission to decide, we're pretty sure we're gonna get rid of the information security side of it. Not that it's unimportant, it's just that it's $8,000 a year that we can save out of the budget. You know, 4,000 for the county, 4,000 for the cities. That's right now. If we can find a way moving forward, to be able to utilize Brody, he said he'd be open to it. But he'd have to educate himself on what that means and if there would be additional work. I don't know what that looks like, and if he would request additional money, that's where the commission would have to come in and make sure that, you know, we would fund that. Anything additional. I know the sheriff's office pays between $20,000 and $30,000 a year to utilize NGT as well, so there may be a potential to realize savings even. And trying to prepare ourselves for
How long has the guy been full-time down in Hancock?
about a year.
And that's been going well then?
Phenomenal, to say the least.
He's getting it all done anyway, yeah.
100%. Yeah, and the nice part is he's there. And again, I'm not knocking NGT. Please don't, you know. But he's there in the building, you know, during our normal business hours.
That was,
Well, that was always our conversation when we hired Brody, so.
Yeah, it's been wonderful just to be able to say, hey, something's going on, and boom, he takes care of, like, and we've had, from dispatch point of view, we've had issues at like 10 o'clock at night, that, you know, something happens, and our IT director there has a, you know, he can go in and look real quick to see if he can just solve it with, you know, on his laptop at home, you know, so he doesn't have to drive in, but at the same time, and I'm sure Brody could do that too. You're not talking about a lot of time for something like that, but we're just trying to think of ways that we can start shrinking our budget. And that seems the most logical.
the IT services has gone up 30% or so, looking from one end to the other of this sheet. So it's had a pretty good increase in the last, just since 22, 23, so that's a lot of inflation.
It is. contract their technicians, they have to pay a little bit more. I mean,
Yeah, but in theory, they should be more efficient because they're going in more different directions, but also they're, we had some people move on to, well,
They're a
wasn't the,
training ground.
is the one Hancock, didn't he come from NGT?
yeah, he had separated from NGT for, probably 5-6 months before, and we didn't seek him out. We just opened the job up and he applied for it.
Mhm.
So, and he was our best candidate. So,
But he's also doing recycling.
Yeah, he's the same guy for that, so
yeah.
maybe that's why it's not getting emptied as much. He's too busy doing the IT down there.
Yeah, I know that he had to kind of restructure that business.
Yeah, we got 2 contacts.
So, anyway, that's just, nothing set in stone, and we're just, we wanted to talk to you folks about that before we talk to the commission as well, because he's your employee.
Just wondering if it went that direction, if we can have agreement between Hancock and Winnebago to cover each other, which they kind of do now, I think,
They do.
so that there's always coverage, because that was the problem before with our previous one, is that he wasn't always available right away.
The group that Brody's part of is ICIT, it's the ISAC affiliate. They're fantastic about, just providing coverage, that, hey, I'm taking a 2-week vacation to Maui, and, if my people have an issue. So that's where I think it would be advantageous if it were Brody, if that all would work out for the two of them, because the systems are built very, very similarly. So there wouldn't be a huge learning curve like I have no idea. So that's what I'm being told. I don't know Lucas about IT.
What timeline would you look at possibly?
Well, if that's what the commission wants to do, we're required by our contract with NGT to provide a 30-day written notice of termination. And again,
Years ago when we were going through this, and I guess I was under the idea that NGT could do it all for us cheaper than we could hire our own person. But now that we've gone the direction of hiring our own person, then I suggested that he be doing the whole thing. So we're kind of getting there anyway, maybe, so.
yeah. And again, I hate to take business away from a local company that
No,
does a great job, but ultimately these tax dollars are going to dwindle, as we all know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what we can control, try to do our best.
Is the sheriff on the same page then?
We've had conversations.
Because he hasn't mentioned anything to us.
No.
Like I said, we've just had conversations with him, and he has said that, yeah, we got to start looking for something. I think we'd all need to be on the same page, between supervisors and Brody and the sheriff's office.
Now, is the sheriff and your equipment out there separate equipment, or it's just coming out of 2 budgets for the same stuff?
So they pay to have their infrastructure managed. The commission has all the server-based stuff.
Okay.
So we take care of everything from Lake Mills to Forest City, and then all the sheriffs as far as those core components. The sheriff's office, what they pay for is their mobiles and all that stuff. It's set up very similarly to Hancock County. It's just that,
What number is sheriff?
How much? How much was it the sheriff pays NGT? Was
I
it
thought
20?
it was somewhere between 20 and 25,000.
Yeah, so that's a number. I had around 20 in my head for some reason. So you're talking $70,000 just to keep computers running every year. Just doesn't seem like it should be.
It's insane the amount of money I'm spending on IT.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's gonna get more expensive all the time.
Yeah, and actually, they did not, and I don't know if it was an oversight on their part, but they did not increase their IT service wages for the next year in the budget that they gave us. I have not seen the contract yet. So they've done that in the past, and then when I get the contract, it's more than what they told me to budget for.
Who's this now you're talking about?
NGT.
Oh.
So at that time, you know, I argued with them and they gave me the rate that, you know, that they had told me to budget for. But just so you're aware, like this, what we have right here is without an increase from last year. And if it goes that way, I'm guessing we're gonna get an even larger increase
Yeah.
the next year.
Well, the sheriff's is showing 31 to 31, they're not showing an increase.
They're
either.
not showing an increase either.
But I'm trying to see how much they spent this
But 31's a big number too, just like yours.
That's 80,000 to keep computers running there, and then we got the whole salary here. I mean, we're talking the better part of $200,000 just to keep computers running. Isn't that something? You'd think that they would work a little better than that.
I wish I would've changed majors 30 years ago.
Yeah,
Or invested our money more wisely at the time.
Yeah, all the people that did change, they're all retired now.
I've got a friend that I graduated from high school with. I was into information management systems, like what in the world are you doing? He's doing pretty well.
Yeah, I've got a couple cousins that went to Iowa State for all that, and they're all retired. And they're 3 years younger than me.
my mom's brother, Frank Camish, he got into the communications and the computers at John Deere, and he's now retired on a big fancy house right on the lake. So,
Yeah. Wish I had a time machine or crystal ball.
and he just worked his way into it. He was in their accounting department, and he just kind of worked his way.
Well, I don't know, I'm in favor of looking at that.
Me too. I commend you
Yeah,
guys
no.
for looking at that more closely as well. Just need to do it.
We all have to tighten our belts.
Yeah.
I mean, we're
It's-
very aware of what's looking at all of our these small counties across the state of Iowa. There's gonna be some tough times.
In theory, it should be one way or the other. We should either have NGT doing it all, or this in having the man on site seems to be the best way to do it. So it only makes sense. And don't get me wrong, I like Brian. I see him at church quite often.
So, obviously, I have to say, we'll see if the commission feels the same way. I'd be surprised if they weren't. I think what that will lead to is we're gonna go to Carla and try to have something on your agenda sooner rather than later to talk to Brody. I encouraged Brody when I visited with him, because I told him I wasn't even gonna bring this up to you folks. He said, absolutely not, I'm not interested. So I did encourage him to visit with Chris, our IT director down in Hancock, to see how all that works. I don't know if he's done that. But
Yeah.
I think moving forward to have a time with Brody, Jennifer and I, the sheriff's office, and the supervisors, just to talk about what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be the key component there. All right.
If we need to go through any other side notes,
Oh, yours was 70?
Yeah, 70 is based on, it's the reimbursement for the Hancock stuff. It's a 3% wage increase, and then obviously the FICA repairs. I put $5,000 in there for the vehicle. I've only got 113,000 miles on that. I intend to drive it for another at least 3 years until I retire. But just trying to make sure that we're planning for that, so that there's not a huge expense. And there's really nothing else out of
What was that?
70.
It's not coming up on our sheets, I guess.
I couldn't find 70 either, do you?
Oh, I'm on the revenue, that's right.
Oh, there, I found it.
Come on. There's 70.
Got it.
Just so you know, and I usually say that, I'm for emergency management, this shared services agreement, where, all the payroll stuff runs through Hancock County, salary and benefits and everything else, and Winnebago County reimburses expenses that can be attributable to the sharing agreement, so half of my cell phone, which is $25 a month, 26. Fuel is half, any vehicle maintenance. This year was a little bit weird because my truck died a couple times, and it was almost $5,000 in repairs. I know that's very expensive, but at the same time, I would.
It's cheaper than a new one,
Exactly, and they're not.
just the interest on it.
Yeah, so, I'm all for driving wheels off it, as long as it's not any time to them, but it's been a good truck.
You're talking to a guy who's got a semi that's got 2 million miles on it. I have 3 vehicles that have well over 200,000 miles on it. I got a whole fleet of old vehicles I made nice.
I do not like changing, so 113,000 miles.
That, no, yeah, that's almost new in my world.
My 2 pickups, total about 550,000.
I got this Buick Lucerne that I bought from this guy, and man, did I get ripped off on that.
It was the estate.
It's his dad's old. Still going,
It's good.
240-some thousand miles.
You take care of them, they keep running.
Them old 3,800 motors they're good.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I think that's it then.
All right.
See you later.
Thank you.
Yes.
At 4 o'clock.
Sorry for the mix-up on the times.
It happens. We just, I like to gain the state.
Anything else, gentlemen, on our
We need to do payroll claims.
Yep, we got payroll budget. Then we're,
home free?
well, you guys, it's going long enough. You guys have cheated me out of eating anything. You missing me out? Yeah.
We'll play back the recording and see who used the most words up in there and who took most of the
Yeah, but what I say is so much more important. Needs to be said.
debatable. Did we have a motion so that Carla can,
I'll make a motion to approve the payroll claims.
I'll second this motion.
Jensvold and Derby, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Do we stand adjourned?
We do, and we'll just, I can walk